Hi, so I'm really excited about this next guest because just recently, when I say recently, I mean like within the last 30 days, I've been really interested in getting out to the media more. I'm talking more podcasts, more print, more media on television. And so today, if that's any of your interest too, I'm going to be talking to a mindset media expert. And so she's going to share with us three story ideas that the media can't resist. And let me tell you, I need that because I need to get on the media. So let me just share a little bit about Sharon Boat, who is our fabulous guest today. Sharon is known as a mindset media expert. She helps business owners and entrepreneurs to get ongoing publicity so that they can get in front of thousands or even millions of their dream clients as the go-to authority in their niche. She also focuses on helping them change their limiting beliefs, sabotaging behaviors, and negative expectations so that they can attract the best media opportunities, feel confident, and make a difference in the world. Sharon has been the business owner and entrepreneur for over 20 years. Her business have included complementary therapies, dog training, and PR. And during the last 14 years, she has contributed to more than 50 different local and national newspapers, magazines, TV, and radio shows, and has received over 1.5 million or 2 million uh, in free publicity and free advertising. Sharon is a regular contributor on entrepreneur.com and has written for the HuffPost and has been interviewed on some of the top podcast shows from all around the world. She is also the co-author of two highly acclaimed books called Successful Women in Business and Every Entrepreneur's Guide Running Your Own Business. Oh my goodness, those sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to get my hands on those. Sharon has been featured in BBC and Channel 5 TV shows and has had a regular shot on BBC Radio since 2008, where she answers the listeners' questions. Thank you so much, Sharon, for being here. I just feel like you're going to give us like a ton of value.
Hi, Aprille. I'm so excited to be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so before we dive into those three media pitches, why don't you give us a little bit of background? Like, how did you become the mindset media expert? That sounds so cool.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people tend to be a bit surprised and shocked when I share a bit about my journey, because my first media appearance was on BBC Radio 2, which is a UK national radio station here in the UK. And there's over 6 million listeners, and I had no website, I had no subscriber list, and I had no dog training business, which was actually the topic that I was being interviewed on. At the time, I had a complementary therapy practice, and I was just passionate about dog training after getting two 8-week-old Parson Russell Terriers, and I was wanting to transition to a brand new business, but I just didn't know where to start. I had no budget. I just didn't know what to do. And then I saw an opportunity. I saw I was listening to this radio show, and they said they were going to get a dog training expert on the show. So I saw this opportunity. I believed I could make a difference. Even though I had no business, I had no dog training business, I was having great results with my dogs, and I was also having consultations and great results with my clients' dogs. And I just thought, do you know what? I can do this. I can help the listeners. So I pitched the show. And it didn't happen straight away. I actually pitched them 3 times before they actually called me and obviously it's a bit of an interview they do on the telephone to you. And then 3 days later, I was sitting in a London BBC radio studio speaking live to 6 million listeners about dog training. And it was the start of my dog training business and my media career.
That is so fabulous. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. You had no business. This is just, so you weren't teaching it. You just had a passion for it and decided to go for it. Like,
Yes, that's right. Well, I obviously I was working on my own dogs, and I was having great success with them. I had been told that having these Parson Terriers together was the worst case scenario. They would fight for the
hmm,
top dog position. I'd have to rehome one. They'd do whatever they wanted. And there it was. It was about a year later into this that I was getting great results with them. They were just really lovely dogs. And so I started to do some consultations with my complementary therapy clients, but I didn't have a business and I didn't have a website or anything. But I did have the belief, and this is where the mindset comes in. I had the self-belief that I could make a difference and that I could do it. I could get on the show.
wow. Wow. So did you have any training prior to your pitching? Like, or did you just do like a YouTube or a Google search? Like, how did you know how to pitch if that was like your first pitch ever?
Yeah, that's a really good question, April, because yeah, there was a couple of things that I knew, and that was, and this is really important for anybody that's going to pitch anything, whether it be newspapers, magazines, podcast show, TV, wherever it is. I knew that I needed to make my pitch about them. So in this case, it was about the radio station and how I could educate and entertain their audience. It was nothing about me. I mean, as it was, I didn't have any credentials, did I? So it suited me just perfectly. But never, ever, ever make the pitch about you, because here's the thing, and I hope I don't offend anybody when I say this. Journalists don't care about you. They don't care about me. They just care about that you are going to entertain, educate, and inform their audience.
Ooh, that is so good. That is so good. And so now you teach this. What type of audience or who's your target market? I guess what I'm trying to ask. Like, who do you generally help?
Yes, it is entrepreneurs and business owners. I mean, obviously, I did my own PR and I've always done my own PR. And so I teach business owners and entrepreneurs how to do their own PR. So I am just about to launch an elite program as well, where I'm going to be working and partnershiping with a very, very small amount of people and actually do their PR for them. It's the first time I've ever offered to do this, and people have asked me, but I've never agreed to it. And that's in the process. I'm not actually offering it right now, but I do online courses. I teach people exactly how to do it themselves, so that they can get on their dream publications, on the top podcast shows, on their TV stations that they want to be on. It's not as difficult as people think. You just, like everything else, you just need to know what to do, and there is definitely a strategy and process to follow.
So, do you think that's like a key block that keeps people from actually pitching? They think it's going to be this big, hard ordeal. Because when I heard you say you had to pitch 3 times, I was just kind of like, ugh, 3 times. Like, I might give up the first time. Like,
That's a really good point, April, because I think that's what happens for people. People think, oh, I'm not good enough. Again, this is the mindset comes in, oh, they're not interested in me. I haven't got any good stories to tell. I think it's the hardest part for people. They don't know where to start, and they don't know which stories to pitch in order to get attention. So that, I think, does hold so many people back. And the truth is, journalists are professional storytellers. So if you can come up with a story idea that's going to fit them and what they do, and is relevant to what's going on now and to what they write about or talk about, then you are gold to them. They want you to pitch them. They want you to come up with story ideas. Their job depends on it.
perfect, perfect. And I think that's well, I think I know that's one of my issues. It's like, I don't have a story. And if I do have a story, like, I don't know how to craft it in a way that it could go on media. And so, yeah, you're here to tell us about these three story ideas that the media just can't resist. So, what are they? Like, let's get into it.
Well, let's start with story number one, story idea number one.
Okay.
And that is your business story. Now, you need to make this relatable. So, what did you do against all odds? What did you overcome? What is it that you wanted to do? What is your why? You know, we always hear this, don't we, about business and marketing. What is your why? Well, this is so relevant in the media. People want to know your story. They want to know who is behind the business. It's not just about the business. They want to connect with the people or the person, the business owner. So this is a great way of doing and getting some attention. So it doesn't have to be, you know, your rags to riches story. I mean, if it is, you know, you were sleeping on your best friend's couch and now you're a multi-millionaire, well, of course that's going to be very attractive. Of course it is. But it doesn't have to be that. You know, we haven't all been homeless, thankfully, and we don't need to get homeless to get publicity. You know, we don't need to do any of that. It could be that, you know, you're a mum and you have a child or two children and you want to spend time with them. You want to take your child to school and pick them up. So you became a business owner because you found you was working the corporate job, you had no time for your family. That is a fantastic why, and the media just love that. Now, it might not always be relevant to the national media unless it is relevant to what's going on, you know, in the news. But particularly if you wanted to start with local media and so many podcast shows, they want to know your story. So many podcast shows are based on listening to your story so you can inspire their listeners. So this is number one, the very best place to start of coming up with a story idea that the media find irresistible.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up local because I would think for especially your business story and understanding your why, if you don't have that storyline that kind of connects nationally, even though I think mom would connect nationally, is am I is it true or not true? But am I guessing right that local media probably care more about your story because you are also local?
Yes,
Did
you're
I
right,
say did I
April.
say local? Local, not local. Local.
I'm in Acapulco.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, you are right.
Okay.
There's a couple of things with local media. One, it's not so competitive. And two, local media love to celebrate their local people. You know, if you become a local celebrity, which you will be if you are regularly in the local media, you know, you become a celebrity very quickly. You know, if somebody's looking, say, for a painter and decorator, and you've been highlighted in a feature in the local newspaper, you stand out so much more than somebody else that's been in business, say 10, 20 years. The fact that you are highlighted gives the impression that the media, that particular media outlet is endorsing you as the best of the best in your field.
I like that. I like that. Perfect. Okay, awesome. And actually I had a question and then it went away. It went away. So if I think about it, we will piggyback to this one. But yeah, so what would be the next story?
Well, the second story that the media find irresistible and they can't resist is something known as evergreen stories. Now, evergreen stories are something that happens every month, every year. It's something that's happening all the time. And so to give you an example of this, I'll use actually my own example of this. In the UK, we have something called Bonfire Night. It's on November the 5th every single year. It's highly celebrated, and with that becomes lots of fireworks, excuse me, and families get together. It's a very sociable time, but it's a time of fear and dread for dog owners, because as we all know, there are so many dogs that are frightened of fireworks. So every year for my dog business, I pitch to the media, because this is something that they're going to want to know. This is a slant, it's a different angle on November the 5th and fireworks. And I've been on TV morning shows 2 times actually with this particular technique, where I take a dog onto TV, we do some footage. So I find a case study first, somebody who has a dog that's frightened of fireworks. The researcher will come and do some, the video clip. And then I go on with the dog onto the morning show. So, and this works particularly well because with TV, it's very visual. So, the dog coming on and that type of thing is very visual. So if you have a business that is very, very visual, it's tangible, that's very, very good for TV. I mean, even if you don't, you can still get creative, and you could still come on as a business expert or whatever it is. But if you can add some visual when you're pitching the show, then that is so much better. They want to see something. So that's what happens, every single year. The 5th of November is what I pitch, but there's also different angles to that. So, for example, a parenting expert could come up with a story idea of how to keep children safe when fireworks are let off, because every year with the fireworks, whenever there are any firework parades, of course there's injuries. And so, a parenting expert could take a stand on saying, how to keep safe during that time. And then say, for example, with this and this firework night, this bonfire night, it's very much about pumpkins. And so a restaurant owner or a nutritionist could come up with a story idea such as 5 mouth-watering meals that you can make with pumpkins on bonfire night. So can you see how you just take what that topic is and you then add it into your business? So you slant it to your business. Now, of course, not everything is going to be relevant to every business. So what you do with evergreen topics is that you find what is going to be relevant to you specifically. And you can find this out. It's called, if you go to a website called, now let me think what it's called, Awareness Days, one word, awarenessdays.com. It tells you all the awareness days that are coming up. Now, this could be an awareness day, an awareness week, an awareness month. And then what you do is you plan in advance. You'll get your calendar right from that website, and you plan in advance what you're going to pitch in line with your business.
That is so good. Yes, people, below this video, there's the website that was just mentioned. Because Sharon, I was just about to ask, well, couldn't you get like one of those national holiday calendars to do that? I love this. I loved everything you just said about going back for November 5th. And obviously it's not the exact same show. Even if you take the same dog, I mean, you're not saying what you said before verbatim, but you are teaching the same methods and maybe even a couple of tidbits that you learned along the way since the last time you've taught it. That is fabulous. And I did remember the question I wanted to ask last time. So yeah, I'll just ask you now. So I want to go back to your story. I know we're kind of getting out of order here. And you said when you did your first pitch, you didn't have a business. So did you have a call to action? So you had nothing to sell. Did you just teach and then that was it? Or did you share your website, or did you have a website?
Well, that's a really good question, April, because yes, I had a website, which was my complementary therapy website. So it has nothing to do with dog training. But I quickly put a page on that website so I could at least direct people to it. But honestly, I got nothing. I didn't get any business from that because I wasn't set up. So there's a couple of things to say on this. Get yourself set up, it would be one. Now, bearing in mind, your website doesn't have to be perfect. Your social media accounts need to look good. They don't need to be perfect, but get a freebie on your website so you can obviously start when the traffic comes to your website. You can get people signing up for a free report, a video series, whatever it is, a free webinar, so you can start building a relationship with them. So that is in an ideal world. But as I say, don't hold yourself back. Don't look for perfection. Get up and running. Now, having said that, if you see an opportunity like I had an opportunity, don't think, well, I'm not set up, I'm not going to go for it. Go for it anyway, like I did. Because one thing that I would tell you about that, even though truthfully I didn't get any business from that, and bearing in mind there were 6 million people listening, I got no business. But what I did get was huge credibility because it was the BBC. So on my marketing, I always splattered across it as heard on BBC Radio. That opened doors for me. And that was really that transitions my business. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is, yes, get set up as much as you can, but don't miss out opportunities as they present themselves.
I love that. I love that. I was talking to a friend and I was like, yeah, you need to start pitching and get your stuff out and be on media more. And she was like, well, I'm not really set up. And I wanted to be like, well, just do it anyway, And so I love that you're saying that. It's like, well, I could see her point of view too. It's like, why get all this traffic and you have nowhere to send them to? But I love it. Like, you have credibility now. Yes. You can do as featured in, as listened on, as seen on. So I love that.
And get those logos on your website. That's the thing. Huge credibility when people come to your website. Then you've been approved, you've been endorsed by the media logos. They haven't purposely done that, but that is the message that comes across to people, because you're good enough for the media, so you're good at what you do.
Yes. I was just featured on Fox, CBS, and NBC. I kind of stalled because he's like, I don't know where I'm going to send people, but I did it anyway.
Good, right? Well done.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, what is the third story idea?
Right. So the third way that you can come up with a story idea that the media find irresistible, they can't resist, is something called newsjacking. Now, newsjacking is, in a nutshell, is taking something that has hit the news and slanting it in a way, coming up with a story idea that is relevant to your business. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. One of the best ways to do this is if something has happened in the celebrity world. I mean, love or hate celebrities, everyone is celebrity mad. So and the newspapers love anything that the celebrities are doing or what has happened to them. So let's take when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie divorced. I mean, it sent a shockwave around the world. Well, at that time, the media were just looking for any type of angle that they could do, and experts who could comment on that type of situation, not on Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie specifically, but the situation. It hit the news. So for example, we're talking about divorce. So a divorce lawyer could come up with a story idea such as 7 steps to getting the best divorce settlement and still remaining friends. Can you see how that divorce, you can link that in as a divorce lawyer, or a relationship expert, because this was all about relationships, could come up with a story idea as 5 sure signs that your marriage is heading for divorce. Simple.
Yeah.
And then perhaps, a parenting expert or a child psychiatrist, because they had children, didn't they? So of course, then it's the media's like, well, what about the children? So if you are a parenting expert or a child psychiatrist, how about something like how to make sure your child doesn't think that divorce is their fault?
Wow. There's
Can you see
3 examples right there, people.
see how you can take what is current, what is relevant, and slant it specifically to your business? Again, not everything that hits the news is going to be relevant to you, but if you can become creative, the world is your oyster. And that's how, with that one, I'm telling you about the radio station, for me, that was a form of newsjacking. I heard them say that next week they were getting a dog training expert on the phone, on the show. They said that it would be somebody from the TV. And I hadn't been on TV, but I didn't let that stop me. But they were looking, it was current. I didn't pitch them saying I've got this story idea. They were looking. So I turn up in my pitches saying, this is why dogs behave in that way. This is what I can tell your audience. This is how I can entertain your audience. And then my contact details. And when they didn't take the bite the first time, I followed up with a different angle. This is why this happens, and that's why that happens. And then eventually, that's when they picked up the phone, and they didn't go looking for another dog training expert, because I made it easy for them to say yes to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because when you said you pitched 3 times, I guess I was assuming you were just sending the same pitch. So like maybe you pitched them, but they were busy, they didn't see it. So you just pitched the exact same thing again, but you tweaked it.
I tweaked it, and sometimes you can just put a follow up and just say, no, I'm just following up, just knowing that you've got a tight deadline on this. This was happening the next week, and then it was over. I just wanted to check that you saw that, and if you've got any questions, you can do that on occasions. But on this, what happened was, the next day when I was listening to the show, they were saying that they were going to talk about overweight dogs, and they actually called them podgy dogs. So in the subject line, I wrote, "Podgy dogs, I'm your girl."
I love that.
Open it up. And then I went on as to why dogs were overweight, and what the solution was, and what I could tell their audience of what they could do, some surefire techniques that they could take on straight away in order to help.
So this is important, because what Sharon just said, without saying it, is she's learning the people she's pitching to. She's been watching them. She knows what stories they were looking for. She just didn't say, I want to be on Fox one day, and then, or just pitching some, and it's November 5th, and just pitching some, random story. Like she's really looking at the show, what kind of shows they have done in the past, who she needs probably to pitch to, and picking up on those words like genius. This is why I only interview experts. This is good. This is really good. Newsjacking.
And you're so right, April. That is so vital. If you have a dream publication, a dream TV show you want to be on, a podcast show, whatever it is, a radio show, wherever you want to be, you need to research them. You need to research to find out who that journalist is, so you can pitch them, what type of stories they cover, so you can then be that expert and authority on the same type of story. You've got to come with a new approach. You can't come with the same approach. With the news, once it's been done, it's old news then. So you have to come from a different angle but then you become the authority, and they are looking, when news breaks, they are looking for experts to comment. And you turn up and you say, I'm an authority on X, Y, and Z. I can tell your audience why this happens and what the solution is, and how we can prevent this from happening again.
There's so many nuggets you've shared with us today. This is so good. Awesome. So if someone wanted to learn more or work with you, like, how do we get in contact with you?
Well, on my website, which is getfreepublicitytoday.com, on the website there, you can sign up. I've got a free webinar that if you've liked and want to know more, then go and sign up for the webinar, and I go through 5 simple tips and stages that you can go through in order to get signed up and get publicity. So that's getfreepublicitytoday.com. And also there's some other things that I offer, some low-cost type programs and things that you can sign up to get up and running.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. This has been amazing. I loved it. You've been so helpful. You've been helpful for me and anybody else who is viewing this and trying to get into the media. Wasn't this awesome? Like, please comment below and show Sharon some love and let her, I don't know, I guess if they have questions, can they pop them in the description, and then maybe you can answer some of them, and maybe some not,
certainly.
or direct them to your website. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
It's been a pleasure. It's been so lovely to speak to you, Aprille.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.